think. Yeah. It's always so exciting when it works, which it always works. So, hey everyone, we are live with Northern Colorado Small Business Facebook group, and this is the NoCo Prevail and Prosper for small businesses. And this is Michelle Oliver, and I am so excited to have Seth Silvers with us today. And he's with a really creative, unique company called Story On. And can I just let you introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us a little bit about your company. I'm going to ask you two questions, okay? Describe a little bit about, just a little bit about your company, because I have a lot of questions for you. And then just kind of how you started doing this. Then I'll lead you down a rabbit trail, okay?
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
And great community that you're building and nurturing here. And I think things like this are really important. So my company is called Story On. My whole focus is helping small businesses market more authentically through storytelling. And so we've been around for about 5 years, and everything that I've done and that my team has done has been around pretty much helping companies to market with stories. So yes, we've done ads, we've done different types of content, we've done a lot of things in the marketing space, but our whole focus has been how can we build strategies and campaigns around the stories within a company, around the brand story and around the customer stories and the employee stories. Like, how can we really get that special sauce that makes a company unique and that nobody can argue with because it's so unique about them? How can we get that out into the world and stuff? So that's been our focus, has been really helping purpose-driven small businesses to grow, leveraging what really makes them unique. And the way that I got into it, originally was kind of way back in high school. I started a nonprofit organization and really quickly saw that the way to bring people together was to rally them around a story, and to really have a story that everybody could buy into, or a story that at least like the common group of people could buy into. And that was how we got people to come together for these events that we were doing. And so as a young person, I really saw, like, I was already intrigued by this concept of storytelling, and some of the skills around marketing and business and stuff seemed to come natural. I liked building things. And so then in college, I was watching the Super Bowl, and I was really, really excited to see the commercials and see kind of the biggest and the best. Like, these companies, they are spending millions of dollars on the spots, and, probably a couple $1 million producing a 30-second show. And I felt really underwhelmed. They just all felt really shallow and cheesy and gimmicky. And I wanted to know the stories. And so that was kind of the moment that I went down this journey of asking the question of what would happen if businesses focused more on storytelling? What would happen if they told the stories of how they were making an impact in people's lives? And for the next few years, I continued to work in the nonprofit space as a marketing director. And I just was studying everything I could about storytelling and about marketing and where were these worlds converging. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I started seeing a lot more data and research that was showing that people actually paid more for brands that they believed in their story. People actually would happily, support another company, switch brand loyalty to a company that they believed in. And so that was when it kind of clicked, of realizing, like, hey, there's so many small businesses around the country that are doing really, really incredible work for really, really amazing reasons. And they just need to know how to talk about that and then leverage that into marketing. So that's a little bit about the origin story behind what we do.
Oh my gosh, I just resonate so much with everything that you said. And I love, love, love what you're doing. So many things. We'll just have to go talk someday away from,
sounds great.
A very formal thing. But a couple of things that come to my mind. I had a business at one point that, you do so much. There's so much, like, with story and mythology and like archetypes and all of this kind of thing that we just do unconsciously, Yeah. And I think the most fun I ever had is when my entire business came out of a really cool story. And all I wanted was to tell the story of what was there before and carry on this kind of legacy or legend, and bring it into the modern world. And that's when I started becoming conscious of like, oh, this is why it's working. This is why people, and there's such an emotional connection for people with story. So the fact that you're like helping people kind of consciously understand that, and then use those tools to connect with really who they are. And then, like you said, okay, I was talking to somebody, I think on an interview a couple of days ago, same thing, like, who am I and how do I explain to people who I am and help them understand who I really am, not just that superficial image. So really, really exciting. So how do you do that? How do you help people understand? Yeah.
That's a good question that I've been figuring out for the last 5 years, if I'm totally honest. I knew jumping into this that I knew that stories worked. I knew that most people were not advertising or creating content focused around stories. They were kind of just trying to like game the system or, trying to play. A lot of small businesses try to play the same type of advertising game that your Coca-Cola does, or what, like they think like those are the rules.
Yeah.
And so I think that like there's this gap where a lot of businesses have amazing stories, but not as many are marketing with those. So I knew that it would work. I didn't know the model. And so there's been a few iterations of just figuring out how do we best actually service small businesses to do this kind of work. And where we're at right now is mostly in kind of consulting and coaching, honestly, in one specific area where we're really, really helping businesses understand how do you create your own content? Because there's one question I've been asked by so many clients over the last 2 years, and that is usually when we're on set, we've brought in all of our video production gear and our lights and stuff into their office, and we might be filming a couple months of videos, or maybe they're paying a good amount of money for one video. And those videos are important. Like that content is really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
But they said, how can we use our phone? Yeah. Like, how can we use what we have in our hands every week? Like, what kind of content should we be creating? And I kept getting asked that question. And so in the last year, we've really shifted towards recognizing the reality of the situation is that most small businesses do not have the budget to hire out another art marketing agency to produce content. And if they do, then it might be like one video a year or something, or it might be one campaign a year. And that can still be of value. I think that's still really, really valuable to have some professional videos done or professional podcasts produced or something. What we realized is the message that we've been showing is you have to be telling stories consistently. Like, for small businesses to survive in today's digital landscape, you have to be creating content regularly. And so how can we create a system? How could we create a blueprint that would teach business owners how to create content on a regular basis without overwhelming them? Because content creation also can be really overwhelming. And so we kind of took the best, like the things that we've seen work over the last 5 years, and we've been kind of packaging that into a like blueprint that we walk business owners through, where over 8 to 10 weeks, we kind of teach them, hey, here's how to integrate live video. Here's how to start building your YouTube channel or a podcast, and how to do all of that very much in a way that it's not sucking up all of your time. And so we've really shifted our focus in the last year to where there are clients that we're actually producing work for. But that's really once small businesses get to kind of the scale up phase where they're needing to spend a lot more and stuff. And so that's kind of few and far between. We have a handful of clients that we're actually producing stuff for, but the majority of our clients right now, we're teaching them how to create content while your business is in that phase, which a lot are, of in some way, shape, or form, you kind of need to do your own marketing, or maybe you have a part-time person on your team, or you're bringing on an intern, or some way you're not outsourcing it yet and you're not there yet. And so we just decided like, that's okay. We're going to stop trying to convince small businesses that they need to outsource before they're ready. and instead teach them, how do you tell your story? How do you tell your customers' stories? And how do you create content in a way that's going to be bringing you new business to help you grow?
Yeah, really exciting. Very, very relevant to today's environment.
Yeah, it is. And I would never, ever, ever ask for something like the coronavirus pandemic to happen.
Oh my
Um,
God,
for the rest of my life,
no.
I will be looking back to this. And I think everybody in the business space will be looking back to what's going on right now.
Mhm.
And then we'll say that is why you have to have a solid digital strategy and a solid digital audience. Like that's why, because the businesses that have a good connection with their customers online are the ones who have been thriving. And they're the ones who, if the government decides to shut your doors, no matter whether you think that was right or wrong, if
Mhm.
somebody that has control over that shuts your doors, the question then is, do you have a community? Do you
Yep.
have another revenue stream? Are you making a business, making money online or whatever you can do? So it's terrible what's happened, but it absolutely has, it's kind of like heightened everybody's awareness to realize like, wow, we really, really have to figure out this content and this digital stuff. So this time right now is really interesting.
So true. So I do want to address just a couple things. So first of all, I know some of the people in the group don't even know what I do at all. They don't even know me. And some of them know that I do have a digital marketing agency. So I want
Hmm.
to kind of clarify that, I'm going to get on here very soon, probably next week, next Friday maybe, and talk a little bit about what we do. But Seth and I, we have absolutely, like, even though we do some content writing and stuff, we're talking about kind of two different things here. So if you can kind of think of it like search engine optimization for your website or running Facebook ads or whatever, whenever you're doing that, you have to have content for everything, right? Like,
Hmm.
and this is one of, so I agree with you so much that I spend a lot of time educating my clients, right? Like, this is the foundation you really have to have. And the first thing you need to do is know who you are. You've got to know who you are and what your story is, right?
Right.
So we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but with the onset of digital, there are I have so many clients that were just so resistant to making a video. They know they have to do it, but they don't really want to, and it's very intimidating. And what does that mean? And they can't really afford. They might be able to afford one promo video, but they just can't afford to have somebody come in every week or every month, or
Hmm.
sometimes not even every year to do that.
Right.
So I'm very excited. I think that we'll be able to work well together. And the other thing I just wanted to say is that this idea of the cost factor, right? And like what you can do with your phone. I just think of when I was a little kid, and even today, this is how we like to be told a story in bits, right? Like a little bit at night before you go to bed,
Hmm.
or like the ongoing, I don't really watch Netflix, but I know that people get into these, I don't know, what are, I'm sure there's like a famous one, a well-known one. I don't have time to do this, so I don't know what they are. But people get addicted to these
Yeah.
because it's always a cliffhanger. And the coolest thing, you guys, is to be able to, that's what Once Upon a Time does to our subconscious, right? It takes us into like being 5 years old, where you're not all of a sudden like really fighting, you're not fighting the advertising.
Right.
Your mind isn't saying, don't sell me anything, like I'm too savvy for you to sell. You just
Right.
relax and you become receptive, right?
Yep.
And then you're able to say, oh my gosh, I actually resonate with this person. Like, this is a real person. I resonate like a heart level and an emotional level. And all of a sudden your brain is more receptive and you're opening up to this person and building a relationship a little bit at a time. So
Mhm.
it's not required to produce like a documentary, you guys. I'm
Right.
sorry, Jason, because I know you make documentaries. But
Well, and there's just that there's a time and a place for everything. Like if
yeah,
you're a company that's making, if you're making a couple $1,000,000 a year,
yes, right.
then like it's still good. Like still go live on your phone every week. Like still do that. But
Absolutely.
absolutely, like spend several grand on a really, really nice brand story video and have
Yeah.
set, like if you're making that budget. So it's like, I look at quality as the best you can with what you have. And
Mhm.
so if what you have is your phone, then start with your phone because it's more important to show
Yeah.
up than it is for it to be perfect. But if you have a DSLR camera and you have some lights or you have a couple, you can invest $1,500 and get a good little like YouTube setup, then do that. And then if you get to the next level where you can outsource your editing and things like that, like it's about progress and stuff.
Right.
And so I think that like people they care way, way more about people showing up and knowing that like you're doing the best you can.
Mhm.
If you show up and you continue going live like you are right now and you do that every single week and this continues to grow, in 2 years from now it's still the same level of quality and it's still the same thing, then people aren't really going to love that. Like there's
Mhm.
got to be some kind of progress.
Progression.
And so I
Yeah.
think that people want to see progress. They don't really need to see things be perfect.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you learn from that, and it helps everyone, I think. Yeah,
Yep.
and it starts, I mean, it's like working out or anything else. You do what you can, and then all of a sudden you demand more. Just like I was standing here earlier saying, I've got to deal with the lighting. like if I'm going to do this
Yeah.
every day, I can't deal with well, hold on a second, I'm moving over here for a minute. But that's how we grow in business, right? we
Hmm.
we do what we can, and then we realize, oh, I need better systems, or
Yep.
oh, I need to upgrade, I need to change the niche that I'm marketing to, or how can I better serve my clients and customers? So it's always about movement and expansion and growing. And I think, like you said, a lot of people are just ready to grow. They're ready to take risks they were afraid to take before. So I love that you're providing a service to help them. Can you share with us a little bit about how, like, what the options are? Like, if I come to you and I'm like,
Hmm.
Seth, oh my gosh, I'm like every other business owner, right? Even I'm in marketing, and we all need help from each other. So
Hmm.
I don't have time for this, and I feel like I'm not good enough, or, everybody's got their issues. So what is the
Right.
solution?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, I think that the first solution is just to start and commit to getting better.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that that's what we would recommend with anybody is like you got to start producing some kind of consistent content. Um, I think a weekly live video is a great place to start. And just commit to improving, commit to sticking around. It's really, really easy to start things. It's
Yeah.
not that it's not that easy to finish them. And that's why there's, I remember I think it was like maybe '07 or '08 when I was a part of like the first like blog that I was a part of starting or something, some kind of article.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
remember reading that I think it said like it was like 80% of blogs failed to post after the first month,
Mhm.
which I mean initially means if you post for 2 months, you're already in the top 20%. So
Yeah.
like so many people start things that I think you just got to keep going. And so as far as like options of like how we help people with it,
Mhm.
right now is a unique time because we're getting ready to like we've launched a few different iterations of kind of our online membership site over the last year and just been learning and gathering info from our customers and from people and even just learning a lot about ourselves. Like, what does it look like to take these services we've been doing hands on and then teach them to other people? And so, right now, it's an interesting time because next month we're going to be taking in a group of business owners, kind of at like a pretty much a price that won't ever be offered again. And we're going to be actually going through all of this content live. And then at the end of it, all of that content will kind of go on autopilot and it'll go into our system. And it'll be teaching and educating business owners across the country. And so it's a really fun time right now because for about 8 weeks, we'll be going live in conversations like this every week with a group of about 20 business owners, and we'll be teaching them how to do it. And then we'll be doing like group calls where initially you're going, you're learning, you're struggling, and you're bringing your questions back, and we're all learning together and kind of learning how you can do it. And the goal within that program is to go from a place where you either have no content or your content is not doing what you want it to, like you're getting no results from your content, to really having a content engine that's consistently bringing leads into your business, and it's not exhausting you. It's not taking up all of your time. And so that's kind of where like the people will start at a place of you don't have any content or a content strategy, and you'll end at a place where you have not only a lot of content, but you have a strategy. So you're not stressed about what content to produce down the road, because we teach you how to plan it all out. And also it's not taking up that much time each week and stuff. And so that's kind of the option for it. And I know that there's some really great people in this group that could actually, like, if you're at the place where you're wanting to, actually produce a video or get articles written for you or something, like Michelle and like others in the group, there's some great resources in our community that can help with that. But I think the first step for any business that's really wanting to start leveraging online content to grow your business, like, there's just that feeling, like, when you see other people's online content, you're like, oh my goodness, I could do better than that. And it's not a prideful thing. It's just knowing like you have value inside of you.
I can do it, right?
Yeah, you can do it. And so the first place is to get a strategy in place that doesn't overwhelm you. And that's what we provide inside of our group.
And honestly, that is so awesome that you're going to have that number. You said about 20 people.
Yep.
All right. Okay. I love that because it's large enough that you're going to see a lot of diversity, right? Different kinds of businesses, different personalities, introverts, extroverts, right? And everything in between. Yep. People that are running their own business, they've got their hands in the dough kind of thing, and all different sizes and everything. So working with a group of people, you learn. Your learning is just accelerated. And I encourage everybody to do this. I'm really excited about it. I have a number of clients that I'll be referring to you. And these are clients who we've been running ads and doing websites and doing SEO and all this stuff for. And the little missing piece is they can't really afford to keep doing these promo videos, but they don't know what to do. And they would just, you know what? They won't do it. So it really helps when you're with a group and you've got accountability and inspiration and encouragement and education.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it just takes time.
Get in the background. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. And it just takes time. I mean, I have a podcast, and my podcast has not gone viral by any means. I have not produced anything that's gone viral, but I've produced a lot of really effective and profitable content. So like my podcast, and I'll be totally transparent, like we probably get, sometimes we get like 50 downloads an episode. Sometimes we get about 100. That's great. And that's amazing. And I look at those people as like people in this room listening to our podcast, but it's not thousands. And I've literally been stopped on the street in Fort Collins, like in the middle of a street, by somebody I'd never seen before that said, "Oh, are you Seth Silvers? Like, I've heard your podcast." I have no idea who this kid was or anything. And we don't even have a huge podcast. And so you never, ever know. And we just got a client who I asked them how they found out about us. And they said that they first saw us in some videos that we produced, really low budget videos. We were doing weekly videos that they saw about 1.5 years ago. Those videos did not get more than probably 50 views. And so it wasn't, that person wasn't in the comments saying, "Hey, I'm watching this.
Right.
I hope to become a client one day." I didn't even know who they were until they became a client 1.5 years later, and then said, "Oh, it was that." And so I just think we just never know the impact. And the best option is just to be consistent and keep getting stuff out there. And then it just starts to trickle in after time goes by.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. I mean, that's the story of marketing in general, right? You never, I mean, there's so many quotes about this, right? But you never know from whence your next client is coming. You want to do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of the people in this group are familiar with Seth Godin, but he's an iconic kind of marketing guru. And some people love him, some people don't, as with all people. But he very often speaks about that you really want to be so clear about your message, and you want to be focused on a very small group of people, a very minuscule group of people.
Yep.
Like, you don't need that many people to notice that you have a video. You don't need that many people. So I think, I'm so glad you brought this up, because I think a lot of people think, how can I compete with a podcast? Like, why would I even try? Well, you would try because you're meeting the needs of a very unique, your little tribe, your little group, and you're trying to get that message to them that they matter tremendously. So you're building a family, right? And that's great. Like, I think that's amazing that somebody recognizes you and you're getting the response you need. So don't be intimidated by, all this craziness of like, you have to have however many followers or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's about getting your message to the right people in the right way. And it's about you growing you, because that will help your business.
Yeah. And in general, it's way easier to start things than people think. Like, yes, you could absolutely spend several $1,000s on a podcast setup, and you could absolutely spend tens of thousands of dollars producing a video, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
But also, like, you can get a podcast. You can have your podcast up on Spotify tomorrow if you want. Like, I could show you how to do all of the recordings, do the music, do the editing in a really simple way, and get a podcast up in 24 hours, and people would love it. And it's the same thing with YouTube. So like, the barrier of entry is actually lower than people think. I think it just takes some courage, but also I think it takes a little bit of strategy, kind of having somebody come alongside that can show you a little bit of the ropes, so that you're not just wasting your time on it, but the moves you're making are actually going towards a bigger goal in the long run.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you're saying. And I love that you're building your own community around this, because I think that's what will help people maintain that consistency. Just like everything, you've got to have your own little tribe in order to just keep going. It's like having a mastermind or our group, I'm hoping that people will become more interactive and actually watch these interviews. And again, there's always a small percentage of people that really participate, but that's all you really need to gain value. So 20 people, think about the reach of those 20 people, right? So we're just looking for 20 of y'all to jump in on this.
Yeah, that would be awesome. We'd be happy to have anybody that wants to. And if you want more info, this is being shared on Facebook. So reach out to me on Facebook and we'll jump on the phone and figure out if it's a good fit or whatnot. But yeah, I'd be happy to talk with anybody that's interested in going from a place where you're just frustrated with your online content and it could be more effective and better. And you really want to be at a place where your content is going out consistently, it's not overwhelming you, and it's getting you new customers.
I love that focus. So I guess, we can talk about this or not, but I've been asking everybody, like, how did you, because the conversation is like, how did you deal in your business with this whole pandemic? Like, did it cause you to kind of pivot in this direction? Is that what's inspired this online group, or where were you before, and what's your story in this?
Yeah, good question. So we had, like the last few months have been crazy. for us, I think for everybody, but everybody's a little crazy in different ways.
Yes.
Um,
Unique,
so
unique.
right off the bat, we lost a couple clients, and we lost at the time, our largest client. We were helping to market a conference for them in the summer, which obviously
Mm,
didn't happen or isn't going to happen. And so that was like pretty much off the bat. It was like, okay, some things are going to have to change. And at the time, we were planning on launching this membership group. And so it really kind of confirmed that we needed to double down on this. One, just because for our business, we needed more sustainable revenue and stuff, and not revenue that was tied up in just a handful of large clients that, and if you're in the service business then or in production of any kind, you know the danger in having a client that's pulling too much of the weight of the business and stuff. So in that sense, it was a little bit of a, okay, this is an opportunity to double down on the program that we've been a little nervous to launch, but I've known that I've needed to launch it. Um, and so it's been a lot of listening and a lot of listening to people that have kind of like gone through test versions of it and that we've been talking through the content with. Um, and then I actually got a call. I got a call from a business owner in New York who's with a healthcare company who's doing extremely well right now. And they said, hey, like this company is huge and they have an agency on retainer. They have a PR agency. They have all of the things that you have in New York when
mhm.
you're a huge company. And he said, hey, I need a podcast up in 24 to 48 hours. I need a
Wow.
daily podcast up in 24 to 48 hours. Can you guys do it? And I said, yes,
Of course.
absolutely. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
said, absolutely. So I hung up the phone and then I started thinking through, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to deliver this? Because I knew
Sure, you
I
were
knew I could do it, but I just had to
organized.
think through it.
Right.
And so
Yeah, yeah.
that was an interesting moment because I heard a really important pain point there, which was like, we need something up quick and we need something that can just be consistent. And so we've been producing that podcast. We've gotten about 5 other podcasts that are hiring us to just do the strategy, the recording, the editing, and we're kind of producing those in house. And so that's been one area where like people are looking to get more help in digital content. And so
Mhm.
we've been helping with that, but also we've been starting to see more people are starting to create their own content and they're kind of realizing we need like a strategy. We need like a coach, like a content coach type thing. So at first it was really hard for our company. And then it's just kind of like, it's just been like a steady upstream for the last 2 months. And I'm so grateful for that. We've actually like hired a couple people and our team has grown in the last 2 months and it's been happening very fast and I'm
That's
very
so
grateful for it.
exciting.
So
Congratulations. I'm
yeah,
excited for you.
thank you.
Yeah, it's very good.
Thank you. So, yeah, it's been crazy in a lot of different ways, but I'm very grateful and I'm excited for the future, but also like this has kind of shown. Yeah, I don't know. I think this has shown like the different ways that you're not necessarily prepared for something to happen like this, whether it's, you want to have more of a cash flow reserve or whatever it might be. I think when a crisis hits, you immediately think of all the things that you wish you would have done to prepare for it. So for me as a
Yeah,
business owner,
no kidding.
I know I'm going to be managing my finances and pricing things out with clients a lot differently because I see more important than ever that just like really being your business being on stable financial ground is
Yeah.
super, super important because if something like this happens, like we need to be able to weather the storm. So
Yes.
that's kind of some of what's been going on in my mind.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Seth. I think that this is, well, everybody has experienced this at different levels for sure. It just depends on what your business is. This is a little bit off topic, but I have this client who is a food manufacturer, and they actually supply. It's kind of disgusting, really, because they have like a slaughtering house for meat, but they supply like all the pork to Wendy's and stuff like that. So when that shut down, like there was no Wendy's and there was no all these famous, these huge chains that they supplied to. That
Right.
part of their business went away. The only reason they did great is because they own a bunch of farms, right? So they're also producing produce, and whereas other people were just literally shut the doors, all they did was just pivot, and then they were fine. And I remember listening to this guy talk about it, and like I was having clients like you dropping out, calling me crying, calling me, what do we do? Um, and if you're at a certain level, you just shift right in another direction. So I think we all just learn from that stress. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, the stress comes on, and then you either fall apart or you get stronger, and you get smarter, and that's what you do as an entrepreneur. So it's very exciting to me. I mean, I was just like trying to figure out where's the advantage, because there's something good coming from this, and I
Right.
just am not seeing it because I'm all emotional about something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you've been so creative, and you responded so quickly, and you're really meeting a need that is a very relevant need. It's speaks to every business. I'm so excited about what you're doing, and I think a lot of people, you're going to get a lot of response
Oh,
and grow.
thank you.
You're going to grow like
Thank you.
crazy.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. The other thing is, one other thing that popped in my head is that when you said this big company who already had PR and everything, um, this is kind of a niche part of marketing that everybody has to get on board with now. And different things are probably going to come out of it that we don't even know what they are yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think people are recognizing, like, I think the phrase personal brand is becoming a little less stigmatized. Um,
yeah.
and so I think a couple years ago, it was like, I don't know, it just has these stigmas around it of like, oh, you're doing it for ego and different things like
Oh,
that.
totally get it.
And
Yeah.
I think that's calming down a little bit to where people realize, like, no, there's actually value in you just being willing to put yourself out there, and recognizing that people want to buy from people. And I think it's a little bit different than it was, years ago and decades ago. I encourage people to like, think of the last time you purchased a service online from somebody that you hadn't seen like a video of,
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
hadn't like seen their face, like,
Yeah.
not buying something from a big company, but like last time you got like advertised to about a product or a service from a small business and you didn't see a video or see their face. Like, it's possible, but it's very, very slim. Most people that we're buying things from nowadays, that their companies are growing, there's some level of they're putting themselves out there. And I think it's past the phase of like early adopters, where like the people
Uh,
that have kind of like jumped in that. And now people are realizing, like, oh, okay, this isn't going to change. I need to start figuring out how to get comfortable on video, how to use live video. Maybe I will never get comfortable on video, so I need to get comfortable podcasting. Like, there's options for everybody. And so I think
right.
people are getting more, they're realizing that and kind of becoming more okay with that.
Yeah, I agree. It was even like, when was I doing this? 2015, 2016. It was every time I did a promotional video for my business at that time, the only way I could do it is because of story, because I knew it was never about me. It was always about
Mhm.
telling the story. But it was so weird because it was like, I hope nobody thinks I'm that person taking selfies or whatever, right? There was that. But this pandemic has broken that barrier, I think, because
Yeah.
all of a sudden everybody's on Zoom. Those some of us have been doing Zoom calls for years and had already self-isolated at home or whatever,
Yeah.
working from home, but the large majority hadn't. So now people are more comfortable, and I think it just broke that. Like, all of a sudden we're okay with it. It's
Hmm.
not weird. It's necessary. So that
Yep.
can translate to necessary. It's communication. And that's all.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, it's going to change communication. That's for sure. It'll be interesting to see how things continue to adjust.
Mhm. Yeah. So I how would you, what do you ask from this group? Like, how can this group best support you? Other than just joining your program, which I think everyone should, truly.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously great. And if you want to know more about the program, or if you, I mean, have even an inkling of interest, then like, let's just jump on the phone and talk about it and we can figure out if it's a good fit for you or not. Um, don't try to answer all the hypothetical questions in your head on yourself by yourself. I can help you with that. And if it's not a good fit, I don't want people in the program. So I don't want to weasel people in that don't fit. But if it is, I think that's going to be great. And I mean, I would be really, really curious, just to know from the group, like what are some of the challenges that you have as business owners with creating online content, with content creation? Me just having a better idea of what challenges people are going through, and like that's really, really helpful information. And just figures out, it helps us to know better how we can serve others and stuff. But also, just if there's like little questions that people in the group have about, like whether it's live, any aspect of content creation, if there's just little questions that you want answers to, or want another perspective on, or want somebody else to, like, sometimes we just need a third party to look at something, then just let me know. Like, send me your content, send me anything, and I'd be happy to like pitch in some of my thoughts on things like that.
That's really generous of you. And yeah, I think we can also think of, as we grow this group, some creative ways that maybe you can do, we can actually do Q&As where people actually show up, or whatever, or workshop or something inside of the group. It seems to me like, with the experience that I've had with small businesses and all different kinds of things, like I used to do a lot of work in the tourist industry. Those people are great storytellers, because I don't know, they just kind of intuitively know that they're taking people on a journey, into a fantasy or whatever. But honestly, I think most small business owners are so busy just trying to figure it all out. So many facets. And sometimes, like if you're a franchise owner or something, you might think that you just kind of buy the franchise and then all your marketing is done, when in truth, you really need to stand out on a grassroots level locally, so that people can know, like, and trust you just like everybody else.
Right.
So having the time to do it, you're going to solve so many problems. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool.
Well, thank you. And thank you just for your generosity of sharing the opportunity to share with this group. And I'm looking forward, I know some people in this group, but I'm looking forward to meeting others. And so
Yeah.
those of you that I don't know, I would love to get to know you and what you do and stuff. So I'm looking forward to this, and thanks so much for the opportunity and for putting this group together, Michelle.
Yeah, it's been such a pleasure. And I hope that we can really grow exponentially. And like Babs was saying in her interview yesterday, I just want to meet everybody. I mean, at some point that would be amazing, right? Like just in real life. And then
in the meantime, it'd be interesting. I know that Facebook just launched a feature. I haven't tested it yet, but it's for groups and it's called Rooms.
I saw that.
Yeah. So it kind of seems like it's like little virtual video rooms and stuff. But so it would be interesting to get to meet some people. And I've seen some interesting like virtual networking opportunities around and stuff. But
yeah, I'm eager to learn more. I was actually going to check that out this weekend, and I'm wondering what that's all about. So many new features are coming up in everything everywhere, and even like with the Zoom. So one more thing that I do want to say, because I want everybody to know that this is so relevant. Like with this Zoom thing, there are some people that get on there and they have the perfect background and they have all the, they're playing with like, this is how I do it, which is great. But you don't have to know all of that to just start. And there's just so many ways to do it. So I'm really excited that you're opening this conversation for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'm looking forward to talking with more people about it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here, and I think we're going to sign off because I promised I'd keep these short, and I'm going to ditch out on the next happy hour I'm supposed to attend on Zoom and actually get in the car and drive. But Seth, it's such a pleasure to get to know you, and can't wait to learn more. And you might find me inside that course because I'd like to see what you're doing, and definitely some of my clients will be there. So
yeah, it would be an honor. Well, thank you so much, Michelle.
yeah.
Thank you so much for the
Have
opportunity.
a fabulous Memorial weekend, and we'll see you in the
Thank
group.
you.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks
Bye.
as well.